Hi, I'm Alan SoCal. I'm going to be reviewing, and this is without the product right in front of me because you will be seeing a video of this meat grinder in use. I did the video about 3 weeks ago, but couldn't get back to doing my written, and I wanted to just add a couple of notes to the review. The brand provider is PopSun, P-O-P-S-U-N. I'm not familiar with them, but I see that they've also branded the item with their name, and it even came in its carrying case type case thing with the name PopSun. So that made me feel pretty good. At least they're owning up. They're not just simply passing through another brand. I like that. Here's the most important thing. Number one, I grind my own hamburger meats. I blend and grind. I used to use my wife's large, it's a commercial prosumer 6-quart mixer. I'm sure I wouldn't have to say the name because you'd know the brand. They're world famous and in almost every home where somebody is a serious baker. So you know too that you can get for these mixers a grinding attachment which goes at the top and basically pushes in and links into the transmission on the mixer. They're extremely durable mixers, and I never worry about damaging the mixer. I worry about breaking the shaft on the meat grinder. That's going to be the weak link in the chain. That aside, my wife, being vegan for the most part, did not want to know that I was using it, although she knew I was using it for grinding meat. So I said, you know, if I ever have the opportunity, I'm going to again get a dedicated meat grinder. And we used to have one years ago, a small one, and I couldn't find it. I think we gave it away. So lo and behold, when I saw this available to review, I thought, okay, I like items that I am intimately familiar with. So, intimate in the meat grinding. I don't do sausage, but I don't know, maybe I could try. But I do take chuck meat and mix it in with a couple other blended meats. Sometimes I don't, just chuck by itself makes a pretty good burger meat. So quickly, let me just tell you my feelings. Number one, when you see me grinding with this thing, and I had an audio problem that day, it ground the meat beautifully. The machine sounds fine. It didn't really bog down. It's got a single speed, unlike using one of those large prosumer mixers. You know, this one, it slowed down a little bit as I was pushing through the meat, but I will tell you that it was a pleasure to use this unit because the output for the ground meat was a bit higher than the mixer unit, and it was just easier to use overall. Know that if you've used one of those mixer add-on kits like I have alluded to, you know, where you push them in and turn them and lock them in place. This is very similar in this mixer. Very, very similar. And what they've done, they've given you, of course, all of the parts to do, you know, sausage. And they've also given 3 different cones that fit into the machine such that you can slice vegetables. You know, like if you want to take carrots and shred them, or you could probably do cheese. They have 2 different size shredding inserts and one that's got multiple blades, so it slices as it turns. This is a $100 item. Need I really tell you that I did or didn't find anything comparative that was better? I didn't. I'm very happy with it. As long as it just keeps running, I'll be a happy meat grinder. So it's going to get 5 stars, and take a look at the video and you'll see, yes, I've actually used it. It did, it did everything my other meat grinding setup did, but it was easier to clean up and I didn't feel guilty about using my wife's mixer. Oh, hi. Alan SoCal, and I'm going to be reviewing the Popson meat grinder. It's their model HY308. I think you can see from the front here of the box. I took all the accessories out because the unboxing ceremony I just didn't think would be appropriate. It takes a lot of time. Trust me, everything you see here pretty much is what you get. There are goodies inside of the meat stuffer. This is the device that pushes the meat through. So, be aware that you get not only the meat grinding driving motor device, which, if I remove this, this is in fact the Popson meat grinder main drive, I would call it. And this, and it's of course the one item here that you're going to be most concerned about. This is the drive unit. Drive shaft is here, and similar to so many of the meat grinders. Oh, push the button in. There we go. Locate it there. Turn it counterclockwise. It'll snap in place. The meat feed here, it only goes in either in this direction or in this direction, but it does lock in place. I've had a couple where you drop it down and it just sort of slides around. What you get, of course, is the motor unit. You get the meat grinding assembly here, which comes apart. I'm quite sure that if you're looking at this video, you've ground meat before. At least I'm thinking it would help if you had. This entire assembly is similar to the assembly I got for our large mixer as an add-on grinder. All the components are the same. There's a order to how this comes apart, of course. This is the final plate. This is the blade with the sharp edges facing out. They run against this device here, this plate, and there are a couple of them. It has holes in it primarily for deciding just how fine the string of ground beef will be, or veal, or whatever you're grinding, pork. That decides just how fine it's going to be. I use typically either this plate, and then there's another plate which I've already put away, which is a bit more coarse. This one is much more coarse than the add-on kit that I got for my mixer. Those are pretty large holes, and I just didn't want to grind the meat that coarse. So I'm using this one. It's the smallest in there. I normally run my meat through twice, and I've already washed all of this. I'll add right now, it's interesting the way they did this. This device here is actually to be used with these inserts, which will slice or grate. So you can actually use this somewhat as a food processor, in that you can grate, and there are two different sizes. That would be good for vegetables like carrots, or you could do cheese, grated cheese. And then there is a very sharp multi-blade insert, and much like the meat grinder, it goes into the drive unit, and I know there's another piece somewhere. Well, anyway, I'm not going to go into details right now, but the point is, it's more than just a meat grinder. But for me, I really wasn't expecting this, and I probably wouldn't use it because we have appliances specific for doing this. But know that you can, if you want to, slice and dice. Well, maybe not dice, but slice. So let's get into grinding some meat. This day I was grinding straight chuck, although if I'm cooking the very same day, as far as burgers, I will sometimes pre-season the meat with garlic and onion powder, finely ground sea salt and pepper, and a little olive oil thrown in as I'd be adding also some herbs. And again, this is for burgers that I'd be grilling in the barbecue, or smash burgers on my hot top that fits into the barbecue. I've got one of those commercial stainless insert systems for the griddle. As I mentioned earlier, the Popson runs at 1 medium speed, and that's in contrast to using our prosumer 6-quart mixer, which is speed adjustable. I found the 1-speed Popson ran at what I think is an optimal speed, eliminating my concern about one more setting. That I liked. And given that this is a dedicated processor, I felt the transmission setup for motor size and speed of the grinder wasn't an afterthought, but an engineered decision. So as a 1-speed device, I was all in. Overall, the Popson grinds as fast as the mixer setup that I had, but it's so much easier to use, and I just take out the grinder unit, stow the motor drive, and then quickly do my cleanup. Overall, a much better setup for me, and for me, definitely a 5-star item.